Dude, standing ovation.
Really?
They were just like that was.
So it's like how many episodes and what? It's about Boba Fett and Baby Yoda, right?
I haven't really watched it.
It's about a character. It's about a character who's a Mandalorian, which is the same race of people as Boba Fett.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that. It's on my list to watch. I was going to try and get. I know, I'm embarrassed now. I'm going to watch it.
Oh,
I watched most of the first season. I just, came out during the holidays.
oh, that's so great.
I know.
I'm gonna check it out. The girls would love it, I'm sure. And I know Rosario. Like, I was eating dinner with Rosario one night, and I said, "So you're in the new Mandalorian, right?" She went, "I don't know." And I went, "All right, never speak about the Mandalorian. If she's not gonna be honest with me, I don't want to be like."
I don't know is the worst answer ever. That means yes.
No, but I was like, she didn't want to talk about it, and I was like, I'd rather talk about. I don't like.
I would have been a Mandalorian. What is that? And then you'd be, oh, it's a space thing. And you just assume, yeah. People ask me, are you going to be in the next season? I just said no. I mean, I thought it was like some Goodfellas shit. Just, I don't know that guy. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no fucking idea.
She said, Rosario is fucking an awesome person, right? But so her boyfriend is, I'm not a big politics guy, and her boyfriend is a big politician. He's like senator of
Cory Booker.
Yeah, Cory Booker. And so he's on set, and someone says something about her boyfriend. We're going to do photos, and I said, yeah, all I knew is he's vegan, right? And so I was like, yeah, what's up? Is he like an athlete or something? And they're like, no, he's like a politician. And I go, oh, like a big one? And they're like, yeah, kinda. And I went, oh, cool. So I meet him. Now, I don't know any of this. I don't know anything about the guy. Good-looking guy. Obviously, he's dating Rosario Dawson. Really sweet guy. And I go, hey, man, I'm Bert. And he's like, nice to meet you. I'm Cory. I said, so I heard you're like a politician or something? And he goes, yeah. I go, what do you do? And he was like, I'm a senator. And I go, is that like the one where there's only two of them, or the one where there's like 9 or 10 sometimes? And he goes, it's the House of Representatives. And I go, oh, cool. I go, you want to be president one day? And he goes, I ran for president. I said, when? And he goes, just recently. I went, sorry, I don't follow politics. He goes, oh, I can tell. I go, so did you want to be president? He goes, I wouldn't have run for president if I didn't want to be president. Oh, I go, hey, man, I'm really sorry. I really don't know anything. He looks at Rosario and he goes, this guy doesn't know anything about politics. She goes, oh, nothing about politics. It was so, I was like, I just don't, man. It's not my interest. I can't, it's like, I wish
Why would you go up and start talking to him? I don't know shit about yachting. I wouldn't go up to some guy cleaning off a fucking boat. Going like,
I'm standing next to him.
You ever get nervous out there?
No, we were doing
a photo like a shark jump up and like try to bite the boat. Is that real? Like what happened in
a photo shoot, and I was standing next to him. I was just making small talk, Bill. It was horrible, but he's a very nice guy. I'd vote for him.
Yeah, no, I've had a few of those, and then I just immediately shut up. I would have said the dumb shit you said, but I would have stopped 3 questions before.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't have asked, so did you want to be president if the guy ran for president?
You look at like, I wonder how much of that is like, who you go, yeah, I'll run for president. And then all of a sudden everyone around you goes, oh, he's going to be president. And you're like, well, hold on. I said I'd fight him. I got to fight his brothers too. You know, like one of those things.
Yeah.
Because like, you wonder, honestly, I guess you can't say that. But like, when Barack Obama ran, do you think he was like, yeah, I'll do that? And then all of a sudden he was like, oh, fuck, this is a lot bigger of a commitment than I thought it would be.
I don't know why anybody would want to do it the way that
I would never want to be president.
I would tell you this, Trump handled it like a champ. He didn't age at all.
He went reverse.
He looks to fucking everybody else. The key is, Bert, you don't answer the phone. If you don't answer the phone, then you look out the window, everything looks good.
My favorite
But
line
if you answer the phone, Obama, Bush, Clinton, your hair just turns fucking white.
God, who aged the most out of president?
That's a good question. Reagan was hard because he dyed his hair black, so you couldn't really tell.
Reagan
That fucking guy
almost
got
aged.
shot. He got shot in his first term, and he kept going. I want to do this again.
God,
You name a fucking job where you get shot, and you're like, yeah, sign me up for another 4 years. I would have handed it off to, who the hell was his vice? Oh, George Bush, and then George Bush got in.
George Bush is fucking amazing. George Bush, the first one, that guy's in the book. Hero. He's in Flyboys. I just finished Flyboys finally.
Yeah. That guy's life was no fucking joke.
Can't look at Japanese people the same way after watching reading Flyboys. Fuck, that's an aggressive book.
Yes. When you get to the cannibalism part, that's the
Jesus. Well, it's not their fault. It's the fucking leadership's fault. Just sent them to islands with no provisions.
I know.
Just ammunition. Not even ammunition.
They could have killed the guys before they started slicing them up like shawarma.
Dude, they would. Did you read the part where they go? Yes. They didn't want the meat to spoil, so they cut his arm off and put him back in the hole. They need his arm.
So they cut meat off the back. They were trying to keep it as long as because the most protein was in your vitals. It's fucking brutal. It's fucking brutal, and like that's that shit. When they sit there and they talk about, how we use nuclear weapons on them and stuff. It was like there was a lot of shit going on. Like, dude, that World War II, it was a fucking race war, dude. It was.
Dude, it was.
You had the Germans thinking they were superior. The Japanese seemed like they were the white people of Asia, like thinking that they were the greatest people ever. Although, Japan got fucked over, though. Do you know Japan had a war with Russia and they won?
Yeah.
And then they went to go take some of their land, like all the white countries do when they defeat a country, and then all the other white countries ganged up. I was like, no, I can't do that. Oh, that's in that book, right?
Yeah, that's in that book. That's
yeah. They bring that up, like, no, you can't do that. So then they're standing there, like, going, like, well, what the fuck? Yeah, we just kicked their ass, and now we don't get the spoils of victory, and you guys are gonna talk to us after what the fuck you did in your country. So there's a lot of
crazy
because like you can't be like, oh, well, we dropped those bombs because they were fucking eating our soldiers that they captured, and then we fucking beat Russia. And you were like it just keeps going back. We just been cunts,
dude. Can I tell you what's amazing is that you're right. It was a race war, and it was a race war in Japan. Like Japan believed, and it's kind of. It doesn't like I'm not saying it makes sense, but the fact that they were an island just of one people, that they would assume that they are. They are spirit, and then they just go like, well, we deserve to do this to the Chinese people. That was a race war from Germany's side and Japan's side, both of them. And no one ever mentions that on Japan. Everyone looks at the Holocaust and goes, the Germans are horrible. The Japanese people were doing the most horrific things to the Chinese people.
Yeah, I read a book called The Rape of Nanking. That was another tough one. Well, I mean, I heard that's why the population is what it is in China. Was to hold Japan at bay, basically to be like because they tried to invade them a number of times because they ran out of land, I think.
Yeah.
So they wanted to expand like every white nation did. So they tried to do the same thing. So they just kept have more. They basically the philosophy was that if anybody invades us, no matter how many they killed, there's going to be another wave of us coming over the hill ready to fucking throw down. Yeah, that's also why, like, I remember reading a thing, Bruce Lee there was some movie that he made early on or something, and there was a scene in there where he was using a Chinese style of martial arts and defeated, like, some Japanese dude. And after he kicked his ass at the door, he turned around, he said, by the way, I'm not an animal. And it got like just that line alone got a standing ovation in the theaters in China because that's how they were being branded by Japan, I believe.
No, you're because I'm also listening to one of the most amazing podcasts in the world called The Real Dictators, and they talk about the prime minister of Japan at the time during World War II, and they talk about Mao Zedong. I think that's the right name. He was the guy who started the Cultural Revolution in China. And
oh yeah, that guy. They took all the farmers' fucking crops so the numbers would match or something like that, and just let them starve.
I mean,
dude, do you understand how sick some of the leaders of the world are? And just imagine those people in China who starved to death. How many just cool ass people? How many Bert Kreischers out there taking their shirts off, making sure everybody's having a good time? It just doesn't make any sense. It's why I just have difficulty with the higher power and that whole fucking scapegoat of the devil. Well, he had a choice he could make. It's like God also had a choice. He could have made fucking empathetic people only, and he didn't. He made rapists and sociopaths and warmongers and fucking, I don't know, this whole corporate structure where they literally, the fact that we have to drink bottled water and nobody really thinks about it because our water is so fucking polluted is ridiculous. And the fact that companies are allowed to do this or pay just fines to line politicians' pockets and shit, and they just sell out their own people. I don't know.
Can I tell you what?
I'm not a big God guy there, Bert.
What fucked me up is that especially, and I'll just to talk about like the idea of war, that those kids would go to war and they didn't have an option. They go, all right, so you're gonna all get in your planes, and this is a suicide mission. The winds are at our faces. You're not going to be able to land in China. You're going to have to land in the sea. They're going to capture you. If you capture you, you should be like the fact that George Bush didn't have an option, that he had to get in that plane. That was his duty. Like, I can't imagine. And
I love too when you would come back, when he came back and that after fighting a mission, right? You come back and your roommate just wasn't there because they died. And he got out of the cockpit and one of the older guys, superior commander, whatever fucking guy, comes up, asks him, he goes, how you doing there, son? And he said he opened his mouth and no sound came out. And they say, go down to sick bay, they'll take care of you. You'd go down there and they would give you like 2 fingers of whiskey and you do a shot. And George Bush Sr. goes, the funny thing is it worked. And he would just fly out there and your mindset would be, it's not going to happen to me. It's going to be the other guy. Dude, the few times I've soloed a helicopter, like, what's going through your fucking mind? Okay, I can't imagine someone on the ground trying to make your worst case scenario happen. I just can't imagine that.
Can you imagine trying to land a helicopter to pick up soldiers in the middle of a war and then get out of there safe? Because you've done like when you see those Vietnam movies and they're coming down, everybody in. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, and having to make a decision like I can't leave these guys here, but I don't leave some, if they're closing in and you have to make a decision, do I leave with these guys and then those guys are going to be caught and tortured or just like, no, like those are those things that like veterans talk about, stuff like that. Like there's no way to ever make peace with that in your mind, which is why to this day, I still don't understand how or why war is legal. Like we really just can't sit down and try to fucking talk this shit out. Like I have to go to marriage counseling, but you guys can just be like, all right, well, we'll fucking kill more of your people before you kill more of ours. Like that's how you're working it out? Why can't they have couples therapy for fucking world leaders?
They were talking in Flyboys about the one of the guys that was running the radio center grew up in San Francisco. Like he grew up in San Francisco and then moved back to Japan because his parents were from Japan and fought for the Japanese. And then they had a prisoner of war. And he's talking to one of the prisoners of war in the radio center because they're trying to get him to, snitch on his guys. They're 2 Americans. They're 2 American kids. I mean, granted, in 1950, I'm sure that you didn't see a Japanese person and see there as American. But I know for a fact in my life, I don't see Dr. Ken as not being American. You know what I mean? I don't see fucking any of the, like like Ali Wong is not being an American. I just only see her as American because that's who she is. Those were two Americans sitting in a fucking room. And he was like, hey, they're going to take you up. It should be fine. And he knew they were going to fucking stab him with bamboo poles and then cut his head off. God damn it, man. It just doesn't seem fair. And when you want to talk about, like, if someone wants to talk about privilege, the privilege is that I'm Bert Kreischer and I get to tell jokes and I get to go into my house and take a nap in the middle of the day and play with my dog and play with my kids and not have to go to war or live in Sierra Leone and have to fucking look for blood diamonds. I mean, there's so much bad shit going on in this world.
I know. That's why when I sit there and people fucking flipping out that they got to wear a mask, it's like, dude, we have flat screen TVs with surround sound. That mask was probably made in a sweatshop by somebody making 30 cents a month. You can't throw it on to go into a fucking CVS.
Yeah.